Everybody look around. Everything you touch, everything you see, everything you've eaten has come from a truck at some point, somewhere, sometime. And then it's going to take another 15, 20 days to get to a warehouse to get broken down, and then another 30 days to maybe get to the store.
What does that mean to someone who lives in Palatine, Rolling Meadows, Inverness?
One of the things that people don't understand is it's kind of a lonely life being on the road.
Did you get the name BJ from that TV show? Hey everyone, it's State Rep Tom Morrison with this edition of the Morrison Report. We are interviewing business people, non-for-profits, and also medical professionals in our community. And we have got a great guest on today. This is a Palatine resident who leads R&K Logistics. This is a trucking firm. And as much as we greatly appreciate, in fact, our lives rely on it, a supply chain to make sure that we're getting food and medicine and supplies. And I just thought it'd be neat to get a perspective from a Palatine business owner, but also just getting an inside view of what logistics looks like during a pandemic. And so with that, I want to bring in BJ Boldog. And I was teasing him before that when we were growing up, there was that famous TV show, BJ and the Bear. And so BJ, you're part of a multi-generational trucking company. So did you get the name BJ from that TV show?
Yeah, I wish I hear that all the time, but unfortunately, no. It's for Bob Jr. My dad actually started one of the businesses that I worked with, and he was Bob. And then we hired some salesmen that were about 3 other Bobs, and I was Bob. And then you'd call for Bob Boldog, well, which one? So just Bob Jr. kind of stuck.
So tell me a few things about your business. Where are you located? How many employees do you have? How many years have you been in operation?
I've been in this since 30 some years. R&K, we've really been in since about 2005. We have about 40 employees. We have a warehouse here in Elgin, Illinois, about 150,000 square feet here. We also have obviously a truck line and a 3PL here. And then we also have an office, about 100,000 square feet down in Grand Prairie, Texas, which is just outside of Dallas.
And so tell me, what does a typical day look like in a trucking firm?
Usually trying to get freight, make sure the drivers are on time for their appointments, that there's no breakdowns over the road, that they didn't have any issues. Traffic, is always an issue, making sure that they haven't hit any traffic jams and they're all on time and on schedule. And then also looking for return loads, partials, which is less than a truckload, looking at those, making sure that those are, that we have those to fill in for those people. And then on the warehouse, just making sure that everything is moving. Each warehouse, we're doing an average of 35 to 40 loads in and out every day. So it can be kind of hairy, making sure that people hit their appointment times and that type of thing.
With this pandemic, there's been a very serious discussion about some of the risks of this virus spreading. I mean, you've got drivers that are crisscrossing the country, but at the same time, we have to get these supplies where they're needed. And so, for weeks and months now, we've been talking about why is it that we have respirators, ventilators, gowns, masks, whatever. They're in one part of the country, but they're needed in another part of the country. Or we've got shortages of toilet paper. I mean, all of these things you've got to have trucks, trains, you've got to have airplanes moving, and they don't move themselves. I mean, you've got to have capable, qualified people operating those expensive pieces of machinery. What does a truck cost?
You get a new tractor, just the tractor, you're looking at $200,000 to $300,000 just for the tractor. And then the trailers, if it's a newer trailer, could be 30, 40 grand.
Right. And then again, so we talked about the licensing, the maintenance of all of that.
You have a truck that's fully loaded, you're looking at $100,000 worth of product on a trailer. The other thing that people don't realize, when a truck is loaded and it's going down the road, whatever you do, don't cut the guy off. Be careful. There's 80,000 pounds on that truck when he's going loaded, and they don't just stop on a dime. And then people, they try to cut them off, they try to swerve, accidents happen, and then that becomes a real costly thing. Because insurance companies or anyone else, they see, oh, great, it must be a company that owns it, they must have tons of money, so let's just sue the company. So then again, that gets into your legal fees, and you've got to defend yourself, right or wrong. You're paying money for that.
So what is it like being a driver? What does life on the road look like normally, and then now under a pandemic?
One of the things that people don't understand is it's kind of a lonely life being on the road. If you think about it, for a driver to really make any kind of a living or money, they have to be on the road 50 weeks of the 52 weeks. So you're on the road, you're not seeing your family, you're calling them. One of the things that is helpful for drivers is when truck stops or they stop at restaurants, they can talk to each other. They can at least have human interaction at that point. He might see his family on a Saturday or a Sunday every other week. Rest areas are shut down. Drivers and people don't think about it. Okay, well, I'll just go out to McDonald's. I'll just go through a drive-through. You can't put a truck through a drive-through, so they can't get food while they go to truck stops. Well, what we've been hearing since this whole thing started was typically you would pull in, you would fuel up, you can go for a shower, maybe get some food, rest a little bit, and park your truck. And it used to be within half an hour, 20 minutes or so. People are going into truck stops and they could be there for 4 hours waiting between fuel up and gas stations, and they only allow so many people in and showering, and so it does make it quite difficult for the drivers nowadays.
I hope that as we get through this, that we're all going to be a lot more grateful for the things that, here you and I are using technology to talk, but the computers were delivered by truck, right?
And everybody look around. Everything you touch, everything you see, everything you've eaten has come from a truck at some point, somewhere, sometime.
Everybody has an essential role to play in this. And I think that's what at least I am, and I hope more people, and this is why I'm doing these interviews. Let's appreciate the janitors who are making sure that surfaces are getting wiped down and disinfected. Let's appreciate the maintenance people that are maintaining the refrigeration and maintaining, just critical infrastructure. Let's be grateful to the truck drivers and the retail workers and the cashiers. And
people think, okay, well, I want this Amazon effect where I can get it today. I can call up something, boom, it's going to be there today. Well, what I want people also to understand is, if we stay shut down like this, by the time we say go, it's now when the stuff, since we don't manufacture as much here in the United States, it takes about 30 to 40 days for these ships to get into the United States. And then it's going to take another 15, 20 days to get to a warehouse to get broken down, and then another 30 days to maybe get to the stores. So it's a typical about a 90 to 120 day turnaround. I just heard a stat that on the sea that they had 400 deep sea vessels cancellations, which equates to 7 million containers worth of product that was supposed to be here that is not here now. So a lot of the stuff that was going to supply trucking and the drivers a living isn't there, which that should equate to somewhere between 400 and 600,000 trucks going basically shutting down until the fourth quarter, because there's just not enough freight out there.
What does that mean to someone who lives in Palatine, Rolling Meadows, Inverness? I mean, right? make that more concrete, because you can think of like shipping containers off. That's a different world. But what does that mean in terms of product in the stores?
Right. So you go buy your lights or your furniture, anything that is made, anything machine made, computer parts. Even cell phones come from a lot of the parts that are made come from China. We look at the clothing industry. A lot of what we have comes from China. So when you talk about stuff from overseas, and you start looking at all of the stuff that you touch, that you physically use in a day, not a lot of it is solely made in the United States. So all of those parts had to be put together and have to be put together, and those come from overseas. I've been through a few downturns. So in the transportation industry, I made a concerted effort to get into the food industry because food is basically recession proof. It always has to be delivered. Obviously, it's essential. But I also watch a lot of I keep up with my vendors all the time, see where they're at, see what they're doing, keep an eye on what they're doing. My wife says I'm a little crazy because I get up and watch about 4 different business channels, all on the economy. One of the biggest things that I always tell people is old Warren Buffett, and we all know him as a big investor, right? Here's a little thing that people don't realize. What he watches is he watches the packaging industry.
Huh.
If boxes and packaging industry they'll go on the rise, that means people are ordering boxes to start shipping out things. So one of the biggest things that I'll watch a lot of how that industry is performing and how they're doing.
Well, listen, BJ, thank you very, very much for your insight, your perspective. You know, there are so many good things about this country, and I hope that we grow to appreciate, you know, as some of our freedoms have been limited. I hope that we grow to appreciate what we've had, and we don't just take it for granted. You know, everything from the stuff we buy, the things we do, the people we see, you know, we need to appreciate one another more.
I appreciate what you do for the state of Illinois, because to be honest with you, business-wise, we've toyed with the idea of moving our whole operation down to Texas, just more of a tax-friendly state, but we don't necessarily want to do that either.
Right.
We want to make sure that we're supporting everything we do, and I just appreciate all of you're doing for the state of Illinois.
Again, we have a natural advantage being in the center of the country, being close to agriculture, manufacturing, commodities. There's just a lot here. So Texas is farther out, but I mean, just people need to know this. I mean, what makes Texas more attractive in terms of business?
Taxes. They're just a friendly tax state business. So to think about it this way, if we can cut my taxes, so when the current administration cut our taxes, the first thing we did is we went out and hired more people. If my concern is that all of this, while great, this PPE and these loans, and we did get a little help financially, which was great, but what my concern is $6 trillion, that's going to mean taxes are going to, that, again, like everything is shipped somewhere, this money has to come from somewhere.
That's right. Yep.
And if taxes go up, then I can't hire the people that I want to hire.
Right. Or it just is more debt that we pass on to our children and
kids. Correct.
Eventual grandchildren. Right. Well, this has been really, really helpful. As always, BJ, thanks again, and have a wonderful weekend and stay safe.
You too.
Okay. Bye now.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
If you like videos like that one, make sure to hit the subscribe button and like and follow our pages so you'll stay up to date. Thanks again for watching.